Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Greet everybody in peace. And whoever may come across this video, it's about time to put another one out. Just to add my voice to so many other voices out here tend to look at things in a critical thinking manner. And the reason why I say that, I happen to, the shirt I have on, normalize critical thinking. I have to give shouts out to a man that's over at the channel We Are Change. Probably don't even know I exist, but I listen to him and a lot of stuff that's being brought out on We Are Change and some issues that need to be discussed. And it's talking about critical thinking. But I ain't got no problem with purchasing or spending money with those who are literally about bringing these truths out. So I have to say that gotta give much shouts out to We Are Change, and I love this shirt. But just wanted to get on here and continue to go over some of the events that we seen skip skip the mainstream media, and Midnight the Battle Cat behind me begging. Mhm. So I wanted to go to hold on 1 minute. I wanted to go to this particular uh what do you want, Midnight? Let me find it real quick. Okay. I wanted to go into this whole thing about this volcano that happened last week. We heard it last week. I mean, the mainstream media talked about it. You had issues with uh, the tsunami warnings, and when you look at the updated information that's going on, man, obviously these folks got messed up. This is some crazy shit. I mean, that shit took out a lot of infrastructure, the flooding itself from the tsunamis. And I want to go to this one article. I mean, these are human beings that are going through devastating circumstances in their part of the world, you know. And when you look at the devastation that's left behind, it's like you can't really understand it from afar. If you're there, you like, damn, this is actually what people are dealing with. And you have all this, and you not only this, you're adding on to it pandemic and all the BS that's shrouded around that. But people are actually dealing with this shit. Just like last year, the year before, when Haiti had the earthquake, right after the president was assassinated. You know, people are actually, it's a lot of suffering going on this planet. And a lot of people don't really understand, just because your life may be in la la land for the moment, the way that this stuff is playing out, we don't know how long it's going to be before, here in the States, incidents of a grand scale could happen. Now, because of this eruption, undersea cables were severed, meaning communication. So this island and everything was completely cut off from the so-called civilized known world. Had no communication. They had to completely rely on aerial surveillance. Like back in the day, before we had cell phones and all this other technologically advanced stuff, even some satellites, they really had to rely on aerial surveillance. A lot of this volcanic ash covered a lot of stuff. Even one island, after this stuff, it's like the water shifted, stuff got covered up, certain stuff can be seen, and it's like this has been going on throughout history. Certain areas of the planet. So it's you know, I feel for those people over there. Those are human beings who are going through some issues, and you know, they get nothing but positive energy and whatever. When I'm, you know, whenever I'm able, you know, to try and help situation, you want to help everybody. You want to try and do whatever you can, but man, it's almost like it's wishful thinking, especially when you got to still deal with the shit you're dealing with over here. But yeah, it's people suffering all over the fucking planet, all over the planet. So I wanted to go into that and just put that on a lot of people's heads. Like they still don't even understand. Oh yeah, they saying that it was a volcano, it was an underwater volcano and everything, but the force in which all this stuff went down, they really haven't got any true explanations of why such a force in this volcano happened for a short period of time with that much energy. That energy was able to set off a lot of other stuff all over the planet. Now, this is in the South Pacific. Now, you had an earthquake happen right there with the energy that's so high that it can affect technology that deals with earthquakes or ground movements, shock waves, and all that. It's able to affect equipment on completely opposite side of the world, man. This is how strong this shit was. But you know, when you're in a bubble and you're in a world where certain things are addressed, certain things are put out there for people to uh, look into, and you really don't understand that. Look here, it may be something to that. The fact that why you know you wouldn't spend a significant amount of time or emphasis on any of that stuff. And I wanted to go into something else. This is something that I see quite prevalent, and it's fucked up that it's going like that. But I wanted to share this video of this professor. Let me go to it. Let me find it real quick. Now I wanted to share this video right here. There we go. So let me take this off. Okay. Hold on 1 minute. Let me get it situated. But I wanted to share this. Totally wanted to share this because it just shows the bigger picture of what we're dealing with in media and in journalism and in everything else. Now, this looks weird from the get-go. All this shit. This man got a fucking helmet on, look like he on a motorcycle or whatever. But listen to this. Dangerous to breathe the air. Many of your experts are advising wearing masks because there's a deadly virus spreading around the planet. Your civilization is collapsing and life on your planet is going extinct. Maybe you just didn't notice, but the level of suffering on this planet is going through the roof. I want to introduce myself before we actually meet F2F, as we say these days, which everybody knows means fuck to fuck, which really means that we're all
week, I'll be wearing this helmet is actually $300. It's got HEPA filters all around it, so that all the air that comes in, that I'm breathing, comes in through the HEPA filters, and all the air that I breathe out goes out through the HEPA filters, so that it protects both me and you from this deadly virus that's going around. Now, I may have fucked up my life, flyer than hammer shit, but I stand before you today beholden to no you cocksucker, and work in a paid fucking union job, and no limerick cocksucker of an administrator is going to tell me how to teach my classes, because I'm a fucking tenured professor. So if you want to go complain to your dean, fuck you, go ahead. I'm retiring at the end of this year and I couldn't give a flying fuck any longer. You people are just vectors of disease to me, and I don't want to be anywhere near you. So keep your fucking distance. If you want to talk to me, come to my Zoom.
Now, I wanted to end it there because this guy, I mean, from the first reference, you know, a lot of people, including on the media and some people on YouTube who got hold of the man's video.
Something obvious because this is the obvious show. If you live in the United States, you may have noticed that many
Hold on 1 minute.
cases
But they only shows a certain amount of this video with this guy. And to be honest, I mean, person will say, man, this motherfucker lost his mind. He going crazy. But when you listen to some of the shit he's saying, I mean, no matter how far out there he is with, you know, wearing these masks, you know, other stuff, you know, can't really blame him. Look at how these folks got everybody. But far as this, you know, when he gets to ranting on about people telling him what to do in his class and this and that and the other, I mean, goddamn, I mean, that's technically what people are doing with everybody. They're basically telling people what the fuck to do and this and that and the third, and basically don't have any credible solutions to anything because everything that they have put out there has failed and they don't want to admit that shit. Some are. But he basically said some shit that was on point. Now, as far as the vectors of disease and talking about the kids whom he was talking to, or the children who are in young adults who are in his class, this was actually a greeting meet Zoom for them students that taking his class. Now, I done seen some of these students, they say they had no issue with it. They know that's how he teach. That's his teaching style. And obviously in some aspects that would hold certain individuals' attention more than all this bullshit they've been teaching. But I wanted to show you how the certain like they do in the media and everywhere, how certain things can be you get one side of midnight. Come on now. Sorry about that. But you get only one side of a story all the damn time. Now I want to go to another video of the same guy, but this is the whole video. It's like, why don't they play the whole video? Why they only show the part where he's supposedly calling all the kids vectors of disease and he's cussing and he's going off and all this stuff? Why they don't show the whole video? So I'm gonna show that the rest of that part after that so-called that ran against the students. So I'm gonna go to that and show you how this is prominent in everyday shit, man. These folks always sitting up here. They only give you so much of certain information, then they pump the brakes, or they try and keep you in this lane so you won't drift off into another lane. And it you know, it gets to a point where it's okay. Now it's obvious. You're right. It's obvious. So let me find this full video. And the full video, I'm not gonna play the full video. I'm just gonna play the part right after where he was doing that rant. So here we go. Let me go to screen share. Midnight over here begging. I done gave you something, man. What's up? But here it is right here. As a matter of fact, I'm right in already in the rant. Hold on 1 minute. Let me go back a little bit. Okay, here we go.
Tell me how to teach my classes because I'm a fucking tenured professor.
Now notice this was in the sort of ending of the other video.
I'm retiring at the end of this year and I couldn't give a flying fuck any longer. You people are just vectors of disease to me and I don't want to be.
That's where they normally stop at.
So keep your fucking distance. If you want to talk to me, come to my Zoom. Now the question that I want to pose to you is this. Is the above soliloquy plagiarism?
Now this is the rest of the video.
The word soliloquy.
So, you know, I'm not even gonna play all of it, but just you have to understand that certain perceptions, and I wanted to get into this. It's like it's part of this world that want to keep a certain perspective, perception of things going, and they're doing it by the manipulation of already, you know, facts of information, even with videos. Midnight, come on now, get out the way, buddy. And this is what they're doing. This is the mess that they're keeping up, and they'll show certain things. Won't show you the whole story. There's always two sides to every story. I don't know if people have forgotten that's a reality. You can't get away from that. No matter what folks are saying or whatever, there's always another side. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down. But that's the stuff, and he's taking this stuff from off of another video, off of an old show or movie. But nobody even acknowledges that. They just acknowledge the fact that, oh, this man was cussing out his students and everything else when you don't really know the full story. And that's how we've been, and that's how we've been just totally dumbed down to. We take a certain perception and we run with it without even having all of the facts on everything. And this is sad because what's happening with society right now, you already know what's happening. I'm pretty sure ain't nobody you know, been on Jupiter for the last 2 years. Probably would have wanted to be with all the crap they got going on, but you know, we know. Stop. It had to put over here doing stuff you know he ain't got no business doing. So now we do know that we have a war on information going on. A war not only on information, but a war on the hearts and minds of the public. And it makes you wonder when you see articles like this. And let me share the screen. When you see articles like this, pandemic pessimism grows amid Omicron surge. When you see stuff like that, and you still have a majority of people going according to something, when in reality, everybody with a logical thinking mind knows that something else is off. No matter how much the media, no matter how much these fake ass leaders and these so-called rulers, these wannabe gods over everybody else and all this shit, that's a different story. But all these motherfuckers that want to kind of imprint their will on other people. No matter how much they do that shit, you got people deep down within in their inner circles of their own being, and like-minded people like them are seeing that, look, there's something else at play here, like it's always been for the last 2 or 3 years now. And when you see articles like this, it makes you wonder. Everybody talking about they research this, they research that. I mean, it really doesn't matter. When you research shit, that's information that could have been distorted, came from a source that's all about keeping a one-track mind about shit. Or it could be information that completely will give a different objective look at certain shit. And we know that ain't happening because everything that's outside of that perimeter has been deemed as misinformation and anything else. But how? So when you see stuff like this, pandemic pessimism grows amid Omicron surge. Now, wouldn't you think that would be justified, that everybody would become pessimistic about something that all these folks have always been screaming since day one? This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to do this and going to do that. And then once you get to that point in time where you didn't achieve that goal, or you didn't achieve it, then you have to continue to move on to something else. And it reminds me of my dad. My dad used to tell me when I was younger about lying and all that stuff, which is was good. I realized the importance of that moral instruction. Like when you lie and all this stuff, you have to continue to lie you have to continue to keep the lie going. You gotta continue to add to it. You gotta tell another lie. You gotta tell another lie to cover up that one. You gotta tell another lie. And it's like, damn, how so, and I'm gonna come up out of this, how so relevant that is toward the shit that's going on right now that we see with our own eyes. We're seeing it. We're seeing it for ourselves. You know, the propaganda, and I'm gonna go to what that word, because I want to make sure that when I put stuff, that people know the definition by far, according to, you know, the dictionaries that we have. And I'm gonna share this screen. See. So now we're looking at the essential meaning of propaganda, according to Merriam-Webster. Usually disapproving ideas or statements that are often false or exaggerated, and that are spread in order to help a cause, a political leader, a government, etc. Sorry. So here you see propaganda and the definition. So let me go back to where I was at. Now, when you look at stuff like this, U.S. COVID doc, we are burned out, exhausted and overwhelmed by the influx of mostly unvaccinated. When we know in our when we know in our right mind it's not true, but according to the mainstream medias and everything, we know that they're trying to say that everybody that's clogging up these hospitals are those who chose not to make a certain decision. But yet, when we look at other things, I'm gonna go to another article. We know when we go to other aspects of media coverage or whatever, you know, Hold on 1 minute. Let me see. Let me find it real quick. Here it is. So when you go to stuff like this, it's like, okay, now you have, and this was from August of last year. Of course, you had to have the explanation why, but person got to ask themselves, have we ever experienced something throughout history? Your living life, dealing with measles, mumps, the regular flu, chicken pox, however you want to go. Have you ever dealt with something where a vaccine was implemented and then you have this much hysteria and confusion and outright fucking distortions with what people should be doing? So you have people doing what the authorities want them to do, and yet they're still coming up on the short side of things. But the lie is that, oh, it's better when you come up on this side rather than those who didn't take this make this choice or take this procedure. How is that when you still have lives lost on both sides? So obviously the shit is not working. But that's neither here nor there. That's another story. It's like shit is out here. It's like, how could you look at certain articles or certain things and you just not accept the fact that, yeah, it's more stuff to it and more stuff going on, more stuff at play. But this is shit that's out here, you know, different little news outlets saying different shit. Of course, they ain't gonna say everything. They're not gonna put it all their duckies out there. They don't want motherfuckers to wake up fully to the reality of what's been going on, unfortunately. So we're forced to, those who do not have any trust or respect for the mainstream media or whatever, we're forced to have to do our own research, have to do our own kind of in-depth studies into certain stuff, because we're not going to get them answers from the media. You're not going to get it from these so-called leaders. You're not going to do it. You're not going to get it from these folks that everybody vote for. You know, never seen shit in the state that it is. So if you've never seen it, then it's obviously is a reason why all this shit is happening. You know, they put shit up like this. And let me go to screen. They put shit up like this and got Midnight the Battle Cat in the background. But they put shit up like this. And it's almost like, where are these people dying at? Because I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. It is not happening. But where are they dying at? Whereas 2,000 people per day is, you know, all across the country there. But because here in Michigan, I'm not really hearing a lot about people really getting, you know, going out like it was a couple years ago, even last year. So it's like, where is this happening? Where are all this? Where is all this stuff happening? And to be honest, who is it happening to? Those that took a choice or those that didn't take a choice? And it's like, you'll never get a real answer or fucking explanation from the same people who are out here putting all this stuff out here. And people look into this shit. People are so fearful. Fear helps to breed control for those who are moving toward a certain goal or certain agenda. So that propaganda helps to embolden that. So they constantly put shit out here that just obviously is ridiculous. We deal with all type of shit on. Wow, it's just crazy. So I'm really wanted to shift it up on the Maxwell updates. And of course, for those who don't know who Ghislaine Maxwell is, this is the woman who is the strange girlfriend or longtime companion of Jeffrey Epstein, you know, one of the greatest pedophiles probably in the history of known history in my lifetime, and the shit that he's been dealing with. But you know, she got sentenced, well, not sentenced, but convicted last month. 5 out of 6 charges. But look at what we got here. Maxwell seeks new trial after jury reveals abuse history. So now, you know, that whole episode of so-called justice might be in turmoil because a person that's on the jury that has a history of sexual abuse. So with a person like that on that jury, which they wasn't supposed to be on there in the first place, because you know the partiality and all that shit that goes with that. You know, that's what they tell you. So this person was sexually abused as a child. So because of that not being mentioned, this could jeopardize the that trial and the results that came behind that with a person that's linked with a whole bunch of mysterious shit. So we still waiting to see what's up with that. I'm gonna be keeping my eyes on that. But yeah, so somebody in that on that jury basically could be responsible for derailing justice and accountability for anybody who was mixed up or caught up in this shit with Jeffrey Epstein and this lady, this Ghislaine Maxwell. And it's dealing with pedophilia, it's dealing with folks feeling like they have the authority and the justification to do sick shit with children and then go back to their happy lives and act like they this and that, but slowly tell you what's moral and what you should be accepting and all this other shit. So you have this going on right now as we speak. What's going to happen with that, how that plays out, not, you know, we'll see. We will surely see. We will surely see. So, you know, we got shit like this. You know, I try and pay attention to everything because people don't understand. If you're not aware that a lot of stuff that is happening has something to do with your planet, your atmosphere, your environment. If you don't think a lot of this shit has something to do with it, then you know that's a person has a right to think that. But you know you're living on a world or in a world in which certain things can happen and it could affect everybody on this planet. No matter where you at, no matter what color you are, what religion, no matter what, we see that with pandemic. Everybody is being affected. Don't matter rich, poor, white, black, Asian, indigenous, rural, urban, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, doesn't matter. So here it is, Elon Musk. This is stuff that a lot of people probably don't look at as being of any importance or whatever, but it should be of importance, especially when you have somebody that's out here Every other week we're hearing about motherfuckers launching this and launching that. SpaceX, NASA working together, or different private companies. They're launching this, they're launching that out here into the heavens. So Elon Musk's Starlink satellites, which you can see at nighttime when the visibility is right, and when you're in a certain area, you just see this line of fucking satellites that just, you know, float on by. You know, some people might mistake it for being something UFO or UAP or whatever, but it's actually the Starlink satellites. So look at this. Elon Musk Starlink satellites hindering detection of near-Earth asteroids, study finds. This is what I've always said as far as that. We've been, a lot of times we sit back and we hear them, all these launches they're making. They're sending this satellite out, they're sending this probe out, they're sending this up, they're sending that out, they're sending numerous satellites out at one time. But yet, you know, a lot of it's supposed to be for telecommunications purposes, you know, to make information flow faster, you know, secure navigational stuff. A lot of these satellites, you wouldn't have Google Earth, you wouldn't have the ability to operate your navigation systems on your phones, tablets, even in your cars if it wasn't for a lot of these satellites. But the big thing is about efficiency with communications. It's almost like for over a decade now, these motherfuckers been shooting out satellites here, there, back to back to back. And it's like, this little thing right here constantly has issues. You know, you hear T-Mobile, Verizon, all these folks, you know, people got their choice of who they think is better. But when you think about it, a lot of people still have issues. But when you think like, damn, how many, y'all got all this space junk out here floating around, all these damn satellites and all this shit that's supposed to make it better. Why are you still having issues with, you know, drop calls, Wi-Fi, this and that and the third, and all that shit? It doesn't make sense. But when you have shit that's hindering the possibility of finding out Earth, things that could affect the planet Earth from the outside, and it's affecting that shit, why isn't that an issue? Why don't motherfuckers speak on it? So it's cool as long as motherfucker don't acknowledge it or even know that a problem like that can exist, as long as they getting faster internet service and shit like that. And look at how much shit you have to give up for a lot of this technology. But in the end, people really don't know what's the intent behind that technology. So this man been putting all this shit out here. Elon Musk, it took me a minute to figure it out. It always seems like he's about calling out wrongs that the establishment and all this shit is, whatever. But you know, sometimes there's such thing as controlled opposition. These folks are meant to do certain shit. But here it is, this man is seeming like he's doing this. And at the same time, and I'm gonna go to a article. Hold on 1 minute. Get right here. Here it is. This man, the same guy that's purveying to the world, he's one of the good guys and trying to call out the establishment and all this other stuff. So you have this same man whose car company, I really, to be honest, I don't understand why motherfuckers get them damn cars. First of all, they take Tesla's name and using it for some bullshit. Second of all the shit that them cars been have been caught up in, as far as motherfuckers using them on self-driving and all that shit, the dangers, motherfuckers can't even afford the batteries to replace the ones. What fuck is buying it? Why would you buy the car if you can't even purchase the car if you can't even get the batteries for that shit when either they go out or there's damage to them? What's the purpose of that shit? You just bought a car for nothing. But this is the man that's, you know, a couple of years ago he shot a car out there in space with a astronaut dummy in there and all this shit. Everybody was looking like damn, this is what it got going down to. Motherfuckers that got money, they can just do anything. So now you just launch this shit out in space supposedly, and it's just floating around a damn Tesla car with a dummy on it. Like, what's the fucking purpose of that shit? But here it is. Elon Musk's brain implant company is inching toward human trials. All these satellites and shit that's being put out there from his company. And all this shit that he know about, what you would call quantum, he knows about quantum computers and all this shit, computing and quantum entanglement and all this shit. This is shit that every last one of us need to somehow get the ability to want to look into, because these folks know a lot of shit that's been hid from everybody else while they're doing shit to not only enrich themselves but formulate a control grid over the whole fucking planet. Now here it is. This man wants you to be able to link your brain to certain shit. You know, and if a person knows the gift of humanity and what being a human being means, this is totally against shit like that. And folks are willing to accept shit like that, not realizing that a lot of the principles, religious wise, however you want to call it, is totally against shit like that. It's almost like there's a certain line in the sand for technology. Like some shit, it should be out here for not only the benefit of humanity, to make things a little more easier. But when you put intent behind that and you start seeing down the road where a lot of this technology, I mean, some of this technology is just doing too fucking much. Just like with that metaverse shit with who the fuck? Like, I'm a gamer. I like to play the game. I've been doing that ever since the 80s, Corn Ops. You know, Frogger and Jungle Hunt and all that shit. On up to Nintendo, Sega, on into the newer Xboxes and PlayStations and shit. That's how I am. But me personally, I never thought that virtual reality shit was, I never just felt like that's just too much. Anything that take your awareness away from your physical reality, to me, is not kosher. Especially when you trust in those who made this shit, or you putting your trust in those who put this shit out here, to have had something that's, you know, this, first of all, it's safe. It's not going to be something that's going to fuck with your psychology and your mind. But we know that's too much to ask for these motherfuckers out here now. So yeah, we got this man who's slick on 1 minute talking about he's against this, he's against that. He was talking shit about the lockdowns and all that shit too. But yeah, he want human beings to give away their humanity by linking themselves to computers, a mainframe, and all this other shit. This is the shit. This is what his company, this is what the billions of dollars and all this shit that he get, as well as others, this is what they invest in. Like the total annihilation of the human experience, the way it should be experienced. Sad. So, you know, you sit up and you see shit like this on a regular basis, and it becomes more apparent. What will be achieved out of all of that? I have no idea. We shall see. We shall see. Hold on 1 minute. it's funny how we see shit like this. A couple years ago, we was seeing it with a different face right there, with a different person. We all know who was in that headline a couple years ago. But yet, with the change of the guard, I don't know. It's almost like, damn, can people realize that obviously it's something fucked up, that we can't get something right here, that obviously we gotta look into something to see, damn, if we keep having these type of issues, then obviously something more to it. You know, even the Dems don't want a divided party, all this shit. all the little games they playing in the political houses all across the planet. We know what's going on here in this country, you know, all this shit. So, you know, I look at it like this, man. It's very important that motherfuckers continue to look into shit on their own. I keep putting this shit out here, because these folks are playing some real fucking games. And they wonder why certain shit is happening. You know, it's like in areas of the country, certain shit. I mean, here in the Detroit area, motherfucker been dealing with that stigma for years because motherfucker never wanted positive energy, a positive community that's about keeping shit civil and aligned with the moral code. They never wanted that shit. So all you hear is negative, and the positive shit you will hear is about areas of town that has no significance to the overall population of the city. Downtown and shit, there's more to Detroit than downtown, the Riverwalk, other areas, you know. Not to count out the many things that have happened. And like I said the other day, last week, they've had people who, and they still have people who are out here doing certain things to help the community, whether it be remodeling or houses and all that. They're not downtown creating an illusion like just for that particular area. And then when you go 20 minutes the opposite direction, you running into a war zone. Nah, man, that's not how shit's supposed to be. So, you know, they focus on that negative shit, the crime, the stereotypes, and all this other shit, and they feel like that's the handle on it, but it's not. It's people out here actually doing other stuff, benefiting, building homes, refurbishing homes. Some of them may be rappers, some of them may be involved in the local. They barely get any coverage. They barely get any coverage. Hold on 1 minute. And of course, I got in the background, I got, you know, coming from the D, you gotta have, you know, this is where I grew up on. But I'm gonna share this. Why we don't hear shit like this all the time? Why we don't get articles like that? And the sad thing about it, you see Channel 7. I watch Channel 7, but this is probably one of they last little article, you know, stories they covered. Every story before it was on some negative bullshit or whatever. But why we don't see more stuff like this, especially in the Detroit area? Why we don't get that? We'll get the other side quick, and it's a global thing. So it's obvious, man. The intentions of a lot of things from media to the political aspects and things, you know, they don't want motherfuckers to have a positive outlook on shit, man. They don't want people to have any type of hope in overcoming a lot of shit without going through all this fucking stress, confusion, turmoil, even to a point where you got motherfuckers displaced, you got lives lost. They don't want motherfuckers to go through anything. You have to literally live on this planet and go through a bunch of bullshit. And you got to receive all your gold, your blessings and everything when you die. One of the biggest things that I always looked at as being that made no sense to live your life in complete craziness, and the only time you get peace is when you out of here. But they don't cover stuff like that. They won't cover stuff like that. It's not a part of their agenda to cover stuff like that. We just want to keep the nonsense going. And over the last couple of days, you know, this thing about the Voting Rights Act and all this stuff, it's ironic that people would be sitting here even talking about voting rights when you have a concerted effort all over the planet to globalize and introduce tyranny in all forms of government all across the planet, you know, to violate human beings, human rights. But yet here, you will have majority, you know, the argument on the voting rights and all this shit. Like, what the fuck difference does that matter if you sitting up here giving all the power away to these elite authorities who really are clamping down? That's what they're really doing right now. They're really starting to put their foot down on people's necks a little harder. Worried about voting rights and all this other stuff when human rights are being degraded and unacknowledged all over the planet. And as a black man, you know, coming from the black community, it's like, how many years up from marching and civil rights and all this other stuff? We've been, our parents, our grandparents, everybody been involved in, and still sitting up here begging to be considered a part of normal society, or what we would consider normal. Ain't shit about this shit normal, but still begging for voting rights. I mean, why would you even continue to beg for something that every time there is a time to vote and they want everybody out here voting, and they get out here and they start smiling and cheesing and acting like they give a fuck to get your vote, and then once the vote is cast, a lot of people shit automatically disregarded because of a way they have people thinking. So once that happened, when they see certain things that doesn't transpire, oh, we got too many votes, we got to do something. We got to go in here and try and change the geographical area of certain shit where people vote, or come with this, come with that. How the fuck is it? How is that helping anything? People have died. You know, people say people died for that. Yeah, people died for the right to express their free will in a voting process. That every time the vote, every time it comes, if certain people don't like certain shit a certain way, then they have to put certain stigma, you know, limitations, or put certain stigmas into it. And it's like, if you got to keep doing it every time, you know, every fucking 4 years, every couple of years or whatever for voting, it's like, how is that even doing anything of service for the cause of it? Folks still talking about they doing this, they marginalizing, they trying to restrict certain people from doing that. But yo, this is a democracy. This is what we all about. We all about voting. Clear cut choice. But every time we vote, we got to go in and debate with and call out shit that's being done to keep certain people from voting, keep certain people from having it. How is that a fucking anything about that? I mean, this is constantly a revolving door, the same shit. And we all know what's happening after this last election. Ain't no sense to even keep going in that shit. But we know what happened. But how is that any way conductive or conducive to society? Constantly arguing over some shit that if motherfuckers would stop doing a lot of the little shady shit they doing because they feel they have so-called power or authority to do that shit, we wouldn't be dealing with all of this shit. So you have people out here that's fighting for or the claim is they're fighting for voting rights. The voting rights bill and all this other stuff. And you got global tyranny at the same time imprinting itself over the whole planet. Like just because your fight for voting rights is gonna save this area or wherever you're from the overall shit that's happening. Don't understand that one bit. And I'm gonna share this. This is a definition of globalization. What is globalization? Globalization is the spread of products, technology, information, and jobs across national borders and cultures. In economic terms, it describes an interdependence of nations around the globe, supposedly fostering in free trade. Now, when you match that with the agendas and the talking heads and all that shit that comes with that, you see a totally different picture. All these faces and all these people that's Davos and the World Health Organization and the Economic Forum and all this shit. All these motherfuckers uppity folks that act like they give a fuck about human beings. They don't give a fuck about people in Africa. They don't give a fuck about people in Australia. They don't give a fuck about people in India. They don't give a fuck about people in the United States. Motherfuckers here don't give about people in the United States, but neither here or there. But everything is being pushed toward one form of governance. It looked like starting out in like shit that's going on in fucking Australia and all these places where keep mentioning how these motherfuckers just constantly doing shit that's totally against human rights. So the fight for civil rights, come on, man, or voting rights or anything else, that shit there makes the hypocrisy around it is just too evident. So with that, I'm gonna just go ahead and shut it down. Wanted to just share some things, get out here, put a video. People need to understand normalizing critical thinking. Once again, thanks to We Are Change, that channel and the political shirts they got, man. It's love it. But people have to understand that they had their own choice decision to make whatever they had their own choices. Are you gonna make the right choice or the wrong choice? Either way, it's not gonna impact the next person. Like, spiritually, it may impact them physically, because a lot of the stuff that's happening, a lot of people are okaying a lot of the stuff, or they with it, but they don't want to acknowledge the fact that look at how many lives this shit is fucking up. Look how many people is completely turned away from different sections in society, whether it be the institutions that we have around us. A lot of people's saying fuck it. And this the thing, man. It's like everybody acting like everybody's going with this shit all willy-nilly, and there's no every dissent, no objective criticism or none of this shit, because that's the way they want it to look like. They don't want people to know there's people out here all across this country itself. We ain't even gonna talk about the whole planet, but from Alaska to fucking Hawaii, motherfuckers do know, and Puerto Rico, motherfuckers do know and have an understanding that a lot of this shit is going toward a situation in which people gonna have to step up and understand. Yes, I can see it for what it is now. It's never been for my benefit, for my children's benefit, for my relatives and parents and great grandparents. Never been for their benefit, man. So with that, I just encourage people to continue to look into shit on their own. Don't take much. Be surprised what you find. And try and look at things, have an open mind about shit. Stop thinking that the next person who don't think like you, that they don't deserve to live the same type of life that you feel will be accustomed for you. Everybody deserves to live their life the way they want to live it. However they live it. If they doing bullshit or whatever, that shit gonna come back their way, regardless. But on a bigger aspect of it, we know that these governments all over this planet, the people that all these old ass folks in Congress and shit that just been there for years, like they ain't never been challenged or never been. Get the fuck out of here, man. Motherfuckers know there's other shit at play. And eventually, as the light continues to expose what's in the dark, you know, people will eventually understand what has happened, and we can move forward, adapt, and move forward in a world in which that shit would kept everything in a state of fucking chaos the whole time will finally fucking be removed, man. And that's just real talk. And I greet you as I came with peace, and I leave with much love. Peace.